I couldn't believe my eyes when I pulled into my driveway on a sunny Saturday morning. My quiet little suburban home in Willow Creek Estates had turned into a chaotic flea market. Folding tables lined the pavement, covered with neatly tagged items me items. At least 24 strangers were rummaging through what looked like my entire garage, picking up my camping gear, my tools, even my brand new mountain bike. And there, in the middle of it all, stood a woman with a razor-sharp bob haircut, barking orders like a drill sergeant and pocketing cash with a smug grin. Her bright orange polo shirt screamed authority, with HOA president stitched in bold white letters across the chest. This was Linda Harper, the neighborhood's self-proclaimed queen bee, and I'd already had the displeasure of meeting her when I moved in 3 months ago. The kicker? I hadn't approved any of this. Not a single table, tag, or sale. I stepped out of my car, my stomach twisting as I took in the scene. "Excuse me," I called, trying to keep my voice steady. "What the hell is going on here?" Linda spun around, her face twisting into a smile that was more sneer than friendly. "Well, look who finally showed up," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "We're hosting a community-approved decluttering event, and your property was chosen as this month's venue." She waved her hand like she was unveiling a prize on a game show. I followed her gesture and saw my garage door wide open, strangers hauling out more of my stuff. Was that my titanium cookware set, still in its box from my last birthday? My blood boiled. Chosen by who? I snapped, stepping toward a table where my tent and sleeping bag were slapped with price tags. "These are my things you're selling." A woman holding my cookware froze, then backed away when she saw the look on my face. Linda didn't flinch. She pulled a clipboard from under her arm and tapped it like it was the Constitution. "The HOA has the authority to address community eyesores," she said, her smile tight and her eyes ice cold. "Your garage has been flagged for excessive clutter. This is just enforcement of Bylaw 8.2. I heard sirens in the distance, faint but growing louder, and a flicker of relief hit me. Someone must have called the cops already. Let me back up. I'd moved to Willow Creek for its tidy lawns and affordable homes, but the HOA was a deal I hadn't fully grasped. My realtor swore they were mostly reasonable, but Linda shattered that illusion in my first week. She'd slapped a neon green violation notice on my door because my trash can sat out 2 hours past pickup. When we met, she introduced herself as Linda Harper, HOA president and neighborhood watch captain, like she was running for mayor. She handed me a 120-page binder of rules, everything from approved mailbox colors to the exact shade of mulch allowed in flower beds. "I conduct compliance checks every Monday and Thursday," she'd said, her eyes gleaming like she lived for it. "Most violations get warnings, but repeat offenders face fines." The way she said fines made my skin crawl. I tried to stay under her radar after that, following her maze of rules and keeping to myself. But last weekend, I caught her lingering outside my house, jogging in place like she was in a fitness infomercial, her eyes locked on my open garage where I was sorting tools. "That's quite a collection," she called out, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "Seems like a lot for one person. You know, unused items count as clutter under Section 14. Before I could respond, she jogged off, muttering about community standards and wasted space. Then things got weird. Twice, I came home to find my garage door open when I swore I'd closed it. A few things went missing, nothing big, just a staple gun, some folding sawhorses. Neighbors started asking about a big sale I was supposedly hosting. Confused and uneasy, I installed a doorbell camera that covered my driveway and garage. The footage I checked Thursday night left me speechless. There was Linda, lit up by my motion sensor light at 11:45 p.m., testing my garage door opener. Turns out, she'd gotten the universal remote code from the pre-VYS owner, who never bothered to reset it. She spent an hour poking through my stuff, jotting notes on her clipboard, and even carried a few small items to her car parked down the street. The next night, she was back, stashing folding tables against my house. I planned to confront her Friday, but a last-minute work trip pulled me out of town. I locked the garage from the inside, thinking that'd stop her. I was dead wrong. Now, Here she was, selling my life's possessions to strangers while pocketing the cash. "This is theft," I said, pulling out my phone. "And trespassing. I'm calling the police." A few shoppers glanced nervously between us, some quietly setting down items and inching toward their cars. Linda's face flushed, but her smile held firm. "Go ahead," she said, while VYing her clipboard like a scepter. "The HOA has broad powers. This sale was approved by the board after complaints about your property." She kept the papers angled away from me, like I was too dumb to notice. "You're selling my stuff without permission," I shot back, dialing 911. "No HOA rule allows that." Her eyes narrowed as I spoke to the dispatcher. She stepped closer, her voice low and venomous. "Listen, hotshot, I've run this neighborhood for 12 years. People like you move in with your fancy toys and think the rules don't apply. Either you follow our standards, or you'll regret VYing here." The threat hung in the air as neighbors gathered, drawn by the drama. I recognized a few faces, people who'd nodded politely in passing, but never stopped to chat. They watched, wide-eyed, as I told the 911 operator everything. "Officers are on their way," the dispatcher said. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who'd called. Linda turned to the crowd, raising her voice. "He's lying," she declared. "This is a community event, fully sanctioned by the HOA. He's just dodging the 25 fan tram proceeds fee for our beautification fund." She turned to a guy eyeing my power drill. "The sale goes on. Everything must go." I clenched my fists, fighting to stay calm. "I have VY Deo of you breaking into my garage," I said, holding up my phone with the damning footage. Gasps rippled through the crowd as neighbors leaned in to see. Linda's smile cracked. "That's taken out of context," she stammered. "As HOA president, I have inspection rights. Your garage is a fire hazard." Before she could dig herself deeper, 2 police cruisers rolled up, lights flashing. Officers Bennett and Torres stepped out, scanning the scene with calm authority. Linda rushed them, clipboard outstretched like a lifeline. "Officers, thank God you're here. This man is disrupting our community event and threatening volunteers," she cried, her voice trembling with fake distress. She shoved her clipboard at Officer Bennett, who took it with a blank stare. "Ma'am, we got calls about unauthorized property sales," Officer Torres said, her eyes sharp. "Can you explain this?" Linda launched into a frantic spiel about HOA bylaws and community standards, rattling off rule numbers like a machine gun. I waited, then showed the officers my footage. Linda sneaking into my garage, night after night, without permission. "I was out of town," I said. "I came home to her selling my stuff." Officer Bennett flipped through her clipboard and handed it back. "Ma'am, I see HOA meeting notes, but no permits. Nothing authorizes entering a home or selling someone's belongings without consent." Linda's face turned crimson. "The HOA has implied consent from all homeowners," she insisted. "It's in the covenant." She turned to the crowd, desperate. "George, you're on the board, back me up." An older man in a golf shirt suddenly found his sandals fascinating. Officer Torres, who'd been talking to shoppers, approached with a woman clutching my cookware. "She says she paid Dula 100 cash to you directly," Torres said, fixing Linda with a hard stare. "Where's the money going?" It unraveled fast. No record of an approved sale existed in the HOA minutes. Board members in the crowd denied signing off. Worst of all, a cash box under Linda's chair held overdue Law 1,800 with no receipts or accounting. "Linda Harper, you're under arrest for breaking and entering, theft, and fraud," Officer Bennett said, pulling out handcuffs as Torres read her rights. Linda's jaw dropped, her voice rising to a shriek. "This is outrageous. I'm the HOA president. I was helping the community." She flailed as the cuffs clicked on. "I know the city council. I planned the 4th of July picnic." The crowd watched, stunned, as the officers led her to the cruiser, her protests echoing until the door slammed shut. The shoppers dispersed, mumbling apologies as they returned my stuff. Neighbors I'd never met helped me haul everything back to the garage. An older woman grabbed my arm and whispered, "She's been bullying this neighborhood for years. Nobody dared cross her." 3 days later, I got word Linda was charged with second-degree burglary, grand theft, and fraud, facing up to 7 years and hefty fines. The HOA board voted her out unanimously, and her real estate job suspended her. Local news caught her outside court, tears streaming as she sobbed. I was just enforcing standards. How was that illegal? The neighborhood felt lighter after that, like a storm had passed. But the questions linger, and I'm curious what you think. Was Linda a power-hungry tyrant, or just a misguided control freak? Should HOAs have the power to meddle in your home like this? And what would you have done if you came home to someone selling your stuff? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story got your blood boiling, and subscribe for more wild tales.